cool to have a concept album. I think it's really cool to tell a story. And I think it's very compelling, just like with any form of anything, any artwork, any movie, TV show, comic. There is clearly something compelling, resonating about the themes involved or the characters that makes people fall in love with it. And as I self-reflect on my favorite things, I know that's exactly the kind of responses that drive me. There's been a lot of great concept albums out there. Probably my all-time favorites include Pink Floyd's The Wall and Animals, as well as Dream Theater's Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory. The dangerous part about writing a story, I think, is the vulnerability. You end up feeling like everything you write about is about you, and you don't want people to think, oh gosh, you're doing what, you did what that character did? That's weird. I resonate strongly with P1, which is what I'm affectionately and kind of neutrally deciding to be the main protagonist of the story. But no matter what you do, you can never escape, I think, from writing about yourself when you're being kind of honest. So P1, in a lot of ways, it feels like me, but it also feels like the heroes of the stories I really liked. The person who was maybe the underdog, the person who had like a funny characteristic about them that made you root for them, even if they're not necessarily a perfect person. And that's the kind of idealism, I think, that really works for the story. Where I left off in the story, I guess, with the last time I got to talk about Project Discover is, again, there's 5 unique songs, some longer, some shorter, that kind of chronicle this idea I have of where your protagonist starts. P1 is going from this exile. Their land that they grew up in is not one that resonates with them. There's like this cultural dissonance. And I love leaving things ambiguous, both because I think it sounds better and because it's less work for me. And this person is kicked out, and just by the luck of or fate, they're allowed to go on a voyage as they're kicked out, which I think kind of came up from the Ramayana. The luck of or fate, they're allowed to go on a voyage as they're kicked out, which I think kind of came up from the Ramayana unintentionally, but I think that's a resonating story for me. And they're exiled, they go through this huge, uninviting, scary ocean, they go through a whole adventure. When it comes to lyric writing, I find it really weird, because I have probably been writing lyrics, poems, ideas since I was 4, maybe even 3, but it's just never something I've really shown other people, and it's never been something I've been able to put into a tangible sort of medium until I understood how music worked. And once I got to that point, it was there's still some safety in associating with different fandoms where my game covering background comes in, or just in general never completely taking the blame if people don't like your thing, but also you don't get to take all the credit, and you don't get to manipulate things as freely. There's always this worry that you're messing with someone else's content. When it comes to creating my own world, my own story, my own concepts, you have all that freedom, but you also have all those pressures. I started writing ideas for this album probably 2.5 years ago, from this particular point in time, and I knew the character should feel these ways. I knew they should want these kind of wants, but I didn't know where it would take me. So I started writing in notebooks, just coming up with ideas of where things could be, what kind of acts could happen depending on different changes, and what would resonate with people. What would I resonate with especially? What would I want them to do? How would I want them to feel? Things that they shouldn't feel to be a good person, but feel because they're a human being. Those are the kind of things I would try to write down and map out, even if it was just 1 or 2 stanzas, or even just like a sentence on my phone in the middle of the night. And sometimes a lot of songs, like Dreaming, for example, came from me waking up with this idea, and I had to get it out in some way, so I took my phone and hummed this very basic melody that would end up becoming Tender Heartache, and then eventually it would become Dreaming. The whole da 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 da, and a lot of things spawned from there. I've been working on keeping track of everything, and I know this is not going to be like timeless or ageless well because things are moving, but this is basically where we're at on the album, and I'm trying to figure out ways to promote the album, but also I just want to be able to present the album, I think is a better way of putting it. This isn't going to be like the greatest album on the planet. I'm not trying to make it the best produced album. I'm trying to do almost every aspect myself just for the personal kind of journey that it yields. I think it'll sound better than the last game album I put out, or even like my regular albums. I'm hoping that the performances will shine more than just the flash of it all. I want people to really enjoy the guitar play. There's a lot of thought put into the riffs and the writing and the solos, as well as the vocal technique, my bass playing, and my piano playing, and so on and so forth. So having this all presented on streams where I'll be performing the whole thing, music videos where I can communicate the story even better, maybe even animations or some sort of multimedia that will help convey the story and, maybe ease it for a lot of people who are following me just for video games and may not enjoy heavy metal or progressive rock music yet. So I'm all planning all of those things in the next month or two, because that's honestly the timeline. It's gotten to the point where I just want to play the songs and have people enjoy it. Maybe get some people to play 7-string guitar too, so they can learn some of the riffs. That would be absolutely awesome. So hopefully Project Discover delivers on that. Even if, it's not the best album, I know it's my best album.